So here are my 12 things I've learned during tough times. And the first one is know what you need. And I actually got this from the writer Enuma Okoro. Enuma had done an interview on a blog last year, and I saw this advice from her and I screenshot it and I wrote it down in my notebook. So it's really stayed with me. And Enuma said that when we're going through difficult experiences of struggle or uncertainty, or perhaps just in the busyness of the day, that need to just stop, to put a hand on our heart, to take a breath and just think, what do I need right now? To tune into what you're craving or what you need, what's going to make you feel better in that moment. And okay, sometimes we can't always respond to that and do exactly what we need, but where I can, I do that practice and I think, what do you need? And it just calms me down. Number 2 is take it one day at a time. And I know that sounds a cliche, but when you can't see clearly ahead, it can feel so overwhelming. And in the dark days, I just focused on one day at a time, or even just kind of like 1 hour at a time, or even those incremental steps of just focusing on the next 20 minutes. And that's how I got through. It would be too overwhelming to try and think about the future. Number 3 is look for the light wherever you can find it. I remember sitting in the cabin at the bottom of the garden and late afternoon sun falling on a plant and just being still and noticing my joy at that. And just those little day-to-day things that might make us smile or bring us joy. Seeing where the dog has decided to snooze, that often cracks me up. Going into the coffee shop and Monica coming around the counter to give me a hug. You know, there is light even during the tough times. Number 4 is get emotional. I probably cried more than I ever have in the last 3 months, you know, and I think that's a good thing. I was reading a book over Christmas called Sad Happens, and it's a collection of kind of essays and contributions from a whole load of different people about their relationship with crying. And one of my favourite entries was from Matt Berninger, lead singer of The National. And Matt said, you know, as he stepped into his 50s, he's really got comfortable with letting himself out. And he said, I've matured into being a crybaby. And I'm like, what a reassuringly great place to be. So I echo that. Number 5, get comforted by those who care. You know, there's so much kindness around. And I got so many lovely messages of support from family members, from friends, from people I didn't even perhaps know that well, who reached out and said just something that really touched me. James down the road baked me a cake. How thoughtful was that? John in the US gifted me an annual subscription to Monocle magazine. So all this kindness, all those messages meant a lot, and it made a real difference to know that other people are out there rooting for you. Number 6, rediscover those moments of you-ness. You know, in those dark and difficult times, I found that I didn't even really want to pick up a book, or I didn't want to listen to music. And that is unusual for me because I'm a great reader, always got a book on the go. And music is such an important part of my life. And I just didn't fancy those things. So when I did have that feeling that I wanted to read, I wanted to put on that playlist again, or put on that vinyl album, or wanted to pick up my camera again, it felt so good. It felt like it was an accelerator to get me into a better place, embracing those moments of you-ness. Number 7 is choose how you show up. There's that saying, isn't there, that it's not what happens to us that matters, it's about how we choose to respond. And whenever I could, I tried to tune into that choose how I respond bit. I filled my notepad with notes to self, positive messages, affirmations, And when people gave me a lovely glimmer or sense of positivity, I really tried to bottle that and capture that. Matt in New York, who himself is still going through, a health crisis of his own, emailed, "Keep going, baby," and I scribbled that down along with a lot of other things to really try and stay positive. Number 8, admit it's tough. We're human, right? And I couldn't fill every day with positive mindset. And I think on really difficult days, it's much better to acknowledge how you're feeling rather than try and fight it. My friend Kelly had a nice way of thinking about it. She said, it's about honouring what is now. So on those days, I just be kind to myself and binge watch The Bear, just lose myself into a TV show or something. Number 9, stay grateful. I've been doing this list making in my notebook for over 10 years now. It's a good times list where I keep a list of all the positive moments, all the good things that happen in my life. And I still kept up that habit during this time. During the really difficult days, I must admit, I didn't really write anything down. But when I started getting positivity back, it was good to reflect on those little moments and not to take the little things for granted, those little moments of joy, those good times. Number 10 is 10 steps forward, 1 step back. And what I learned from this time is that being a good patient takes patience. Recovery takes its time, and my friend Ian, himself going through prostate cancer, but a bit ahead of me on the journey, reached out on a WhatsApp message and reminded me that some days you're going to go backwards, but so long as the overall direction is forwards, that's okay. And it was a really good reminder that recovery doesn't happen in a straight line. It's not linear. It's a bit squiggly as you go. Number 11, find humour. I love a laugh, and there have been some really funny moments during this time. There was an Instagram message that I put up when I was telling people about the news last year, and my friend Dave in the comments said, "Such horrible news, but a really well written post." Had to laugh at that. Or when Simon in the coffee shop, I said, "Oh, have you heard I've got cancer?" He thought I said, "You've gone gangster." So there are plenty of opportunities to smile. There was one this week when I was messaging my friend, and she was asking for an update, and I said, "I haven't got the all clear yet." She went, "Amazing, brilliant, that's great news." Don't think she'd quite read it properly. So yeah, find humour. And number 12, do nothing. Some days, it's just enough to just sit and be, and that's okay. So there you are, the 12 things I've learned during these tough times. I hope you found them useful, interesting, and they might spark something for you. Thanks a lot.